All right, so today we're going to talk about Boondocking 101. What do you need? What is useful? What is helpful? And just kind of if you have it in the budget, then it's a good thing to have. So, welcome to the channel of the Roving Veterans.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Bethany.
And don't forget about our dog, the Traveling Maverick.
We chose our name because we RV, and we're also both military veterans.
We bought our first camper in 2020 and been full-time ever since.
So we're going to break this down into like 3 sections. We're going to do the needs, so what you need, and you pretty much have to have the boondock. What you basically need, but you can get away with not having. And the third category is going to be the things that we really love having, and if it's in your budget, get it, but it's not mandatory, just useful and helpful.
Today we're going to share with y'all everything that we've learned boondocking and things that help and things that are nice to have when being out there in nature. Bethany says I have the boy jobs, and that includes keeping the utilities running. So Bethany likes her 120 volt power reliably, and she enjoys her water and when it's hot, and she will complain about these things if they're not functioning properly. So I'm going to try to give you some tips on the things I've learned trying to keep the utilities running around here for the last few years. I've had a few years training on this now, so I'm not an amateur.
We started full-time RVing in 2020, as the intro said. However, we're into 2024. So we've just graduated our senior year. Actually, in October, we moved into our first camper in October of 2020. But this year is the first year we decided to jump out there and start boondocking. We decided to go to Quartzsite in January and had a blast. So that's what we're here for. If you're looking at boondocking, or if you're looking to go to Quartzsite this winter, because we're all going, then this is some stuff we're going to need.
For me, when I think about home, I think about where I go to sleep at, and I usually want to plug my phone up and charge it while I'm sleeping. And so that's the thing that makes it feel like home for me, is reliable 120 volt power.
So when we say a reliable 120 volt, what is that? How do you get your power? There are a few options that you can use to get your power, being a generator or a solar setup. We have both.
Our toy hauler came with a generator from the factory, and we use that to get our 120 volt power whenever we're away from a pedestal at first.
We currently have 6 solar panels that are 375 watt bifacial. Our system, we have 4 batteries. We have 6 solar panels, and then we have the Victron. We have the inverter. We have 2 charge controllers. What else do we have?
We have the Lynx Shunt, the Servo GX with the touchscreen.
Alright, so moving away from power. You already know you gotta have your power. What else do we gotta have, Rob?
Gotta have water. Need clean water.
We bought an 85-gallon water bladder off Amazon. Cheap enough. Our camper already has a water pump on it, so we didn't have to worry about buying a water pump to use the water bladder to get the water in. So ours, you just plug it up, turn it on the right way, and it does its own thing. Now, some people don't have that from what I hear, and you have to have a water pump to get the water from the water bladder to your holding tank. That will be up to you to find out if yours is like ours or if yours is like other people's.
But you're going to need a plan for getting your water.
Yes, unless you want to move your camper to find water however often. But for us, we were somewhere for 3 weeks this summer. We didn't want to have to keep moving the camper, so we moved the camper this many times. Instead, we used that 85-gallon water bladder, and we just brought water to the camper when we needed it and put it in our holding tank. Gotta have water. Next, what else are you going to have? Honey pot. That's the word.
Those things are not fun, so...
You got some people call it a honey pot. We have people that call it a tootie tote, whatever you want to call it. It's the weight. It's the little portable thing that you're going to use to haul your waste, your gray water, whether it be black water or gray water, to haul it off to an actual dump station. So have your honey pot. That's going to be pretty much mandatory unless you just want to move your camper. Like I'm going to say, if you're boondocking, it's not really questionable but mandatory that you are going to have some type of app, book, something to know where to dump that wastewater. So we have an app called iOverlander that we use, that when you pull it up, it shows where all the dump stations are, makes it easy. One thing that we do know is the Maverick gas stations, most of them have free water dump stations, and there's a trade-off there. You go get your fuel from them and they let you dump. Google them even. You can Google dump stations. Camping World usually has one. A lot of RV stores, like any kind of RV store where you're buying parts and stuff, a lot of them will have dump stations. Not all of them, but some of them. Doesn't hurt to ask. Alright, now we're going to talk about what you basically need that will help you out and will save you on some things. My number one on that one is going to be the dishwasher. So Rob installed us a tabletop dishwasher, one that you could get like for an apartment or something. It's about half the size of a regular dishwasher. We cut some drawers out. That video's already uploaded. So usually if you hand wash dishes, they say our dishwasher will save 11 gallons. So whatever you would be using 11 gallons of water on, now is only using 1 gallon of water. That is not only that's saving you 2 trips. Because you're using less water, which means you're not having to go find water, and you're also not having to dump as much. So to us, I would honestly consider the dishwasher more than basically needed, almost close to mandatory, unless you really want to be moving your camper a lot. What do you think?
It's really helped since we've been boondocking and we can actually hear the water pump running. It really reminds you how long that water pump is running, is how much water is being used, and that thing uses way less than
shocking
trying to hand wash dishes. I promise you.
Absolutely shocking. I couldn't believe how much less water it used by getting a dishwasher. Yeah, saves a lot of water and a lot of time. It's a very good, very beneficial. Next,
the mini split. Having air conditioner that you can run and that works is very important. Yeah, we have the Wi-Fi enabled mini split, so we can change it to heat or cool or whatever we need to remotely, as long as we have internet. The inverter compressor on the newer air conditioners like the mini splits will really save you a lot of power consumption, and when you're trying to run off of solar, it's really important.
Also, our one mini split cools better than our 3 rooftop ACs combined. Not kidding when I say that.
So the mini split we have runs off of about 1100 watts at max. When it's cooling its hardest, it's using about 1100 watts, which is much less than the rooftop units that we were using, and cools a whole lot better.
Yeah, that one, even boondocking, if it's 100 degrees outside, we'll still have it 80 degrees in here, which that sounds hot to some of you people. But if you're boondocking and it's 100 degrees out and you can still get your camper at 80 degrees off of one mini split, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be totally worth it, and you're going to be like, wow, this is a game changer. But it also does heat, so if you have the ability and you have enough power and solar to be able to run that, now when we're in Quartzsite, instead of having to make so many propane runs this winter, we're going to be able to use that. And then we're going to be able to heat from the sun. And there's also the optional, we do have propane if we need it.
It's on turbo right now.
It's on right now, on turbo.
Wide open turbo. It's 100 degrees outside, and we're comfortable, and it is so quiet. We don't even have to turn it down.
Right.
Our other ones, you basically had to turn them off.
If you're trying to make a video, because you just can't hear.
Yeah, you just couldn't hear.
Well, this is on right now, so you can hear how it is. Those are our 2 basically needs. If you're trying to save your power and you're trying to save your water, a dishwasher and a mini split. 2 basically needed, but not mandatory. Next, we're going to move on to what really helps, and if it's in your budget, get it. If it's not, I get it, because some of these things we've just added along the way. Like we said, we've been full-time since 2020. Some of these things we've already had building up, buying it here and there. So what helps, but what's not actually mandatory. What's very helpful is a weather station.
That way you can know what the temperatures are outside, inside, and we got one with an extra sensor, so we put it next to our Victron equipment, so we know how hot our batteries and Victron compartment is.
This one that we currently have does inside and outside. It does a CO2 reader, and it gives you like a zone. It's either red, green, yellow, and it tells you what your CO2 level is. And CO2 affects a lot more than you think. It affects how sleepy and tired you are even. That's one thing we've realized has changed since we can see our CO2 levels now. It'll tell you the humidity, and it has the little spinny thing to tell you what the wind speed is. So this is one of those things where I guess you don't really have to have the weather station unless it's in your budget, but it's so necessary to know when you're traveling what the wind speed is, because there's been times where we have thought we were going somewhere for the day and got on the road and weren't going somewhere. Always good to check your weather apps no matter what they are, but it's also good to know where you're at, what the wind is. So that's very helpful on that as well.
Something else that makes it comfortable for us when we're out boondocking is I carry a foldable picnic table, and I set it up anywhere we go. So even if it's not an actual spot, we still have a picnic table, and we can still set up camp, kind of like we're
at an RV park, right? You know? And saves us money because we're not at an RV park.
A lot of times there's just a fire ring and no picnic table, so we just bring one just in case. Another thing that's been awesome is our air purifier. A lot of people like to have campfires. Some people don't. We don't like campfires. I don't want to smell like smoke. I also don't want to smell like bacon when Bethany's cooking bacon. And that we found a large room. I think said it was a large living room residential air purifier.
It's the Instant Pot brand. A lot of y'all might know that because we have an Instant Pot, so I recognize the name, and we got that one.
Yeah, and it has an air filter, and it really does a great job of filtering our air and
keeps it from smelling stagnant. Because sometimes we do sometimes go places outside of the camper. We full-time RV, but we go on cruises. Sometimes we fly places. We've been a few places not in the camper. Well, something like this helps it to not just smell stagnant when you come back.
If you have allergies, or if you have pets, you really need an air filter. Your air conditioner air filter will tell you that, because you have to clean those often. I'm sure you've seen how dirty they get. And that air purifier will keep you with clean, healthy air for you and your family. It's very important to have clean air, and this is a small space, and there's a lot of toxins that can be in here that pull in the smoke and the contaminants out of the air. Can really make you a lot healthier and impact your life for sure. So absolutely. I highly suggest you get an air filter and run it. Something else that we run is a rechargeable vacuum. Our Momentum came with a
central
vacuum setup, but it uses a lot of power.
A massive amount of power. And I can vacuum the entire camper multiple times on one charge. The charge on the vacuum doesn't take too long, but it lasts multiple times.
And then you can just plug it up and charge it when the sun's up.
Yeah.
And it feels good.
The sun charges it.
That the sun cleans your camper. Oh, another thing that's going to be really helpful is a Zevo. We recently found the Zevo for flying insects. Yes. And if you're in a place that has mosquitoes, has the potential to have mosquitoes,
gnats, flies, moths, it's caught everything.
Anything flying, and that has been a game changer for us. You will get gnats from time to time in a sink, or depending on where you're at. They're just out there in nature, but you don't want them inside with you.
But also the fly traps, the gnats and the mosquitoes don't stick to them, or they just don't go to them. I'm not sure, because we'll have a fly trap, like the little ribbons that are full of flies, and I'll have fruit flies or gnats and can't catch them, can't seem to do anything about them. Well, that Zevo thing, it actually catches them, it attracts them to them, and they stick. So my number one insect remover, I'm going to say, is that Zevo thing. Definitely get that.
Cameras. While we're talking about being healthy and safe, we have cameras for remote monitoring. They are solar. They are solar charged.
You can solar charge them, or you can plug them in if you want to do it without the sun.
And we can monitor those remotely and move them on a swivel and up and down. That way, we can see what's going on in the trailer. That lets us keep an eye on the temperature and Maverick if we have to leave him for whatever reason.
Because we bought a 2-pack on Amazon. We keep one.
Everything is safe.
Right, we keep one outside.
Yeah.
We keep one inside if we're going to be gone. That way, if we are going, national parks are very well known to not be pet friendly. So if we're going to go somewhere that we know we're going to be doing some hiking and we can't bring Maverick, well, now we can put one of the cameras somewhere in here to where it shows the inside temperature of here and it shows Maverick, and we can kind of keep an eye on it. So if it does start to get cooler or hotter or whatever in here, we can see it on there and change the mini split because we see it on the camera and he's safe.
Yeah. We run a hotspot for our internet, and it's worked out really well for us most places that we go. Now, it doesn't work everywhere, but it's worked out great for us.
It works on whatever the cell phone tower is, so that's kind of important. Internet, you're going to have a way to get internet, whatever that might be for you. We got a hotspot. We've had it for quite some time, so we're grandfathered in at a $45 a month unlimited, which is crazy to think about. But it only works when you have cell phone service. So we decided this summer we're probably going to break down and buy Starlink at some point this fall when we're somewhere stationary long enough to get it shipped. Okay, so the whole I'm unplugged and off grid, that's good and fine. But what if something happens? What if we're out doing something, Rob gets hurt, and I have no cell phone service?
Stretch. Me getting hurt? Let's get real here. Let's make it more realistic for the viewers.
Well, you're a nurse, so if something happens to me, you'll fix me. That's why it's important. Because my point was, it's not safe to not have access or the capability to make a phone call if you really do need it.
For boondocking, we also keep a Blackstone grill. That way I can cook outside, and it keeps all the smells and everything outside. It's a separate propane ran appliance, and I really like that gives us an option, even no matter where we're at, that we have the ability to cook our food.
I will say, when we got the Blackstone, I hated it. I'm still not sure that I love it, but it'll do. I would say just have some type of grill. I've never been big on cast iron. I know you would never be able to tell by my accent, but I haven't. It's like everything sticks. It's just hard to clean. There's a lot of reasons I don't like it, but we have one, and that's what we got, so that's what we're going to keep at this point. It works, but having a grill in general definitely is helpful.
Having an outdoor cook space is definitely helpful. That's another reason why I like having the picnic table. The picnic table gives us a spot to set up the Blackstone and gives us a spot to sit down and eat if we need it. And I really enjoy being outside. When we can enjoy those meals outside with nature has been some of my favorite parts.
So while we're talking about the food in the Blackstone, I decided that I just don't want to have to worry about the propane oven, the oven part. And so what I decided to do when we first got our first camper was I bought one of those Ninja Foodie. It's about this big, so it didn't take up that much space, but it did air fry, broil, bake, convection, all the things. Now we have bumped up and we've got the double oven one. Now I can cook two things at once without having to worry about the propane oven. I have turned my propane oven, that big old empty spot, into my lid holder. So I set them all up, all my pots and pan lids, and that's just how it does over there. Our Ninja just sits straight on top of our countertop, and we use that. We can cook whatever we want to, cook, bake, fry, don't matter. Well, air fry, I guess, technically. And it heats up in 1 minute. So it don't take the whole preheat for any amount of time. In 1 minute, that thing is preheated and ready to go.
And I don't have to change out the propane bottles.
Yeah, that's one less thing that, we have to worry about there. I might actually put this higher on the list than it is right now. A zero water filter. So a lot of people are out and about and they want to buy bottles of water. Okay, that's good and fine, but when you're actually boondocking, there's a lot harder problem than most people would think finding somewhere to put your trash. It's actually a problem sometimes, and you end up having more trash than you want because you don't know where to dump it depending on where you're at. And it zero filters your water. It comes with a testing stick where you can see what it tests to. Now, I will say, once you get out in the Arizona area out west, you do have to replace the filter a lot more than if you're in other parts of the country because the water's just not as good out here. But it doesn't matter. You're going to save so much money on not buying the bottled water at the store and having to figure out where to dump your trash. Totally worth buying the zero filter. They make the pitcher size ones, or they make the size that will put in your fridge. We drink a lot of room temperature water, so I have some water in the fridge, and then I just I set mine out on the countertop right by the Ninja. Have a fridge thermometer. Have a freezer thermometer. You can buy a 2-pack very cheap on Amazon. Stick it in there, and also it's going to start giving you warning signs if your fridge is going to go out soon. Our fridge went out this summer, which is why we ended up moving to a residential fridge. But it was giving us warning signs because we could gradually start seeing that it just wasn't holding temp until I told Rob, so we're going to have to get a new fridge. But you don't know that if you don't have something like that to give you the early warning signs, because most people, a fridge is a big purchase item, and it's going to set you back if you're not prepared for it. So this will keep you, at least if you're starting to see that it's struggling, you can start putting that money back if you're going to have to buy something big, because you can buy a fridge anywhere from like $800 upwards to thousands. So depending on what you're looking for, definitely have some thermometers in your fridge to keep you safe. All right, y'all. So here are some of the things that we have purchased throughout our time in full-time RVing since 2020. I have gotten all of these directly from our Amazon history. So that's why I can tell you it's exactly what we've used. And you might notice that there are some things that we forgot to mention in our video that I have added to this list. The dehumidifier at the very beginning of this, for instance. Another thing that I would like to mention, though, is, again, if you have in the budget, something that's very handy is clear bins for your fridge, because when your house goes through an earthquake, because that's what full-time RVing is, when you move it down the road, your house is going through an earthquake, everything is everywhere. Make sure you get some of those to keep things in spot in your fridge. Also, it's a great idea to buy some tension rods. All of those things we have bought in stores, but you can buy them on Amazon as well if that makes it easier for you. All right, y'all. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.